much that whole section of
just have to get home and then do this and then I'll be back and then I've got to do this as well.
Yeah.
And like my wife would be like, and when are you going to do that? I'm like, I'll do that before this thing. And she's like, no, you won't. I'm like, yeah, I will. Don't worry. It's fine. I'll get it.
Yeah. Oh, fuck, it's unreal.
Yeah. Well, I hope you weren't too sort of hectic getting back and coming straight in. And
not at all. No. And it worked in the end. But I was like good at talking. I was like good at talking with the flick. Like I couldn't, in a way, it was like, because I'd seen it before. I liked it now, but then I watched it there for this, and I was like, oh, actually, fucking, I love it. I was like, holy shit.
Save that energy. Save that energy. I'm just going to pour myself a drink before we start recording. Man.
Terry, are you going to do an Audacity thing or will I just use the Zoom?
I'll do the Audacity, just have the backup anyway.
Okay. Peter, you don't need to have that really running. We'll just use your Zoom thing.
Is it okay?
Yeah, sounds fine. Yeah.
Okay.
No problem. We plan on getting you in and out in an hour max.
No rush at all now. Now that I'm here, I could stay till midnight.
Okay, you gonna give us a count in, Andy?
Sure. Okay. Hang on. I was just recording there, so I'm just gonna stop it. All right. In 3, 2, 1, record.
Hello. Oh fuck, sorry.
Well, we're off to a fly.
Yeah. Now, what my fucking Audacity.
Here we go. Terry's been having mad technical issues here, so
getting mad feedback there, Peter. Mad feedback.
Yeah. Is it me specifically?
No, it's Terry. He's got some router issues on his fancy Mac there.
And then my Audacity, because I was disconnected from the router, the Audacity was like, please restart me. Now hold on, let's try that again, Andy.
Okay. In 3, 2, 1, record.
Hello and welcome to What's So Great About, the podcast that asks great questions and gets great answers. My name is Terry.
My name is Andy.
Andy, how the bloody hell are you?
Very well, Terry. Very well. And you?
I too am well.
Good to hear it, pal.
Of course, we are talking about what's so great about Nicolas Cage, and we're going to be talking about Snake Eyes. But before we get into that, Andy, we've got another guest on the show.
Hey.
Our guest today is an actor, stand-up comedian, and the first recurring guest on the podcast without the last name Cantwell. It's Peter McGann.
Oh, yeah, I was like, hardly now. No,
we've had Tony on a few times.
Yeah, thanks Peter, very much for coming on.
Yeah,
thanks for having me again. I'm excited. I'm very good. I'm excited to talk about this one now. The pump is primed to talk about this clip.
I wasn't sure because I knew like Wes Anderson had a real following, and when Terry said Nicolas Cage was the next season, I was like, are people going to be into that? Like, but people really are into it. Like.
Of course they are.
Oh no, they are. Yeah, big time. I wouldn't be too au fait with the later ones, you know, the kind of ones that
nobody's au fait with fucking Kill List or whatever. Those tax dodge movies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the ones to get him out of his dinosaur bone death.
Yes, exactly. Like I'm reading a book called The Age of Cage at the moment, and it's literally it goes through his career from his first movie all the way through. So like I'm like late 2000s now.
Oh, the good stuff.
Well, let's say like he's kind of like National Treasure 2. They're talking about was like those were his real big hits, big surprising hits in the 2000s.
Yeah.
After the crest of the wave of like post-Oscar, post-Rock Face-Off, Con Air, literally you can stick Nicolas Cage's name and you'll get a movie opened, which is kind of what Snake Eyes.
Post-Oscar? Did he win an Oscar?
Yeah, we've talked about this, Andy. Yeah.
Leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah, Leaving Las Vegas, 95. Yeah. And then you were like...
why are we over in that one?
Because I said, read the synopsis, and you were like,
oh, yeah.
A rider tries to drink him. Oh, God, I don't want to do this.
A bit heavy.
Yeah, I know you. And I know you. And if we had to do that one, I think you'd be a sad boy.
Yeah, I'm really in the presence of two actual film buffs here. So it's really great when we have a guest on because... I don't have to because my synopsis of these movies is just like I don't know, I didn't really like that, and Terry's there pulling his hair out, so it's nice to get someone else who actually knows what they're talking about.
I'm having a recorder leak, right?
Ah,
A
okay.
mango raspberry. Sorry, I was cutting out there. A mango raspberry recorder league. Never
What is
had
that?
one before. Recorder league's that one of those pear cider with jobs. But a mango raspberry.
Go on then.
Mango raspberry cider.
Go on.
It's a little sweet. It's a little sweet. It's a little sweet.
He hates it.
You'll have one. I don't even know. You can't get pear cider. You can only get, there's one type of pear cider, my beloved fizz cider, which doesn't
With a name
sound like a
that,
real,
you know it's gotta be
real
high
product. Like
Please.
You can, surely,
Norwegian.
you can get more than that for pear cider, no?
It's gone. It's gone, man. Kopparberg doesn't do pear anymore.
Oh.
None of them. They take it. Maybe there's a reason why they took it off the market, but I'll still try and find it. But I know, like, you were pretty big on doing Bringing Out the Dead, Pete, and we couldn't, scheduling wise, we couldn't make that happen for you.
Well, what happened was, and this, I missed, when you sent me on the list originally, I somehow missed Snake Eyes. So I went straight. Oh, what? Oh, you threw it in after, did you?
No, I think it was on the list, but I think at the time, yeah, you said, "Oh shit, I didn't see that in the original."
Yeah, so I like, not that I would have loved to talk about Breaking Out the Dead, bringing out the Dead as well, but I thought that like the little contrarian in me would be like, that's too Scorsese too, even though it's not one of the most well-known Scorsese.
It's actually the Scorsese I've like seen like the big Scorsese.
Yeah.
Like I've seen least. So I'm really excited to revisit it. Like
I like it's incredible. It's a jaw dropper. But like when I saw the Snake Eyes is one where you're like, oh, no one will want this, but I know that I like it. So I have something to say about it.
And let me ask you, because are you a big De Palma guy?
Yeah, this is a like whopper. Like just last Monday, I went to see In the Lighthouse Blowout on the big screen, and I've seen.
I fucking just watched it like over the weekend in preparation for this. Yeah, man.
Oh yeah.
Fucking. I would have loved to have gone to see it on the big screen.
It was the big screen. Like I've seen it a couple of times before. Like it's one of my favorite films. But like seeing it on the big screen, it was like, oh god, this is back when like movies like that were like made exclusively for the big screen. So you're just seeing way more. Like it was incredible. I was nearly crying.
Andy, let me hit you with the premise for Blowout.
Please.
Right? John Travolta plays like a sound. He plays you essentially. He's a sound recording technician for the movies, right? And he's doing like horror movies, and it's like the producer of the movie or whatever is like, oh, the sounds like of the wind don't seem proper. Like, so he goes out to like record the wind. He's basically just out on a bridge in the middle of nowhere. And then he sees like a car accident and a death happens. And it's like a big kind of conspiracy kicks off from there. And there's so many bits in it of just John Travolta like chopping up fucking film reels or like piecing sound together, process stuff. And it's like YouTube before YouTube, these kind of things that you're like, I could just sit here and watch this. I don't need a plot. I don't need a whole fucking conspiracy plot, but it's fucking deadly. And like,
can I ask, is De Palma big on conspiracies in his plot lines?
Yeah.
Like there's sorry, go on.
Oh no, there's a good few, like in like those two especially, and then like conspiracies and kind of, I suppose, like people subterfuge and things. People trying to create the illusion that one thing happened when something else has, and like Mission Impossible and
that's the other. That was the other one before like 96 is Mission Impossible, 98 is Snake Eyes, and like Mission Impossible. If you go back and watch that one, it's like so twisty turny, like maybe you know what? Let's just fucking get into the movie. Let's just get in and talk about the movie, because I'm like you, Pete. I'm busting to talk about it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay, that was the trailer for 1998's Snake Eyes, directed by Brian De Palma, written by Mr. Jurassic Park himself, David Koepp, aka the guy who wrote Jurassic Park. So we're going to get into a bit of boff, budget, and fun facts. Andy, do you care to guess the budget? And Pete, we'll give you a go after Andy.
All right. Well, he's had some big hits with Face Off and Con Air, so I would imagine they're going to give him a bit of a hefty budget. Well, it's not his movie, but I'd say 50 million.
Okay, Pete.
I'm going to say 25. That's my gut instinct. So I'm just going to go 25.
You put your hands together, you would have been closer. 73 million.
What?
Now,
Where's that money gone?
Oh, I think it's on the screen.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that.
There's bits in this where you're like, there's 10,000 people here.
Right,
like this, like there's a whole casino's worth of people here. Like,
or the whole shot that goes over the hotel rooms where Gary Sinise is listening in.
Yeah,
wow! Like it's like
I can't wait. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's calm down.
Okay.
Opening weekend, Andy.
Opening weekend. I'm never good with these. 5 million.
Okay, Pete.
Go with your gut.
I'm terrible at these. I have no concept of this kind of thing. Like it was not a success, so I'm going to say, was it maybe? Okay. 2.3.
Oh.
16 million.
Wow.
Good boys.
Yeah.
I know you did hear this was a bit of a flop.
I think in comparison, because if you think about it, like Cage has done, he had that whopper year or 2 years of The Rock 96, Face Off and Con Air came out within the same month of each other. And they're all huge hits.
Wow, within the same month.
Yeah, I think they're
the biggest star of 1997.
That's it. Like, and then this is the next year. And even I remember the video tape in Extravision when I was younger. It's like, it's just his face.
Yeah, I remember.
And you're like, wow, this is going to be another one. This is another action movie or whatever. And compared to those guys,
right,
it's not.
It's considered more of a flop compared to them.
Yeah,
flop
exactly.
Is probably too strong a word.
Yeah, but
all right,
let's try the domestic total.
Okay, what did you say the opening weekend was? 16?
16.
75.
Okay, Pete.
74.
Unbelievable.
55 million.
Okay, he gets it. That's my tactic.
Yeah.
Undercutting the first answer.
And then worldwide total.
180.
230.
103 million. Lads.
Hey, okay, not so hot overseas, huh?
Yeah. I mean, but if you think about it, off a budget of 73, you're making 103. You're not losing money.
It's fine. Okay. Well,
think about the type of movie.
Like, where did Tara Brian De Palma end up in kind of director jail? Because that was the beginning.
This is the beginning of the end. This is his last really good one because like Mission to Bars is next.
I didn't see that one. It's on Disney Plus. Let me give it a look.
See, I remember as a kid being like, oh, hey, here we go, and it's Gary Sinise again, and then like just being like, oh, what is it? Like by the end, it's kind of aliens, but maybe kind of gods. I don't know. Like it's just real.
Right.
But I think that was then. Like he hasn't made a big movie in 20 years, really.
Right.
Like
okay.
He made one with fucking Noomi Rapace and Rachel McAdams.
That is a mental one. Passion.
Yeah,
that's deranged.
Yeah, and it's like they're lovers that are trying to kill each other.
Yeah, they work. It's like kind of the fashion industry workplace rival, or like that kind of like All About Eve type.
Yeah.
Mentor turns on the mentee.
So he doesn't make your average sort of movie, this guy.
No.
Basically.
That's what makes him fucking deadly, though.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why Tom Cruise picked him to Cruise picked him to do Mission Impossible.
Even back then, Cruise was picking the directors.
That was Tom Cruise's first movie as producer.
Right.
And he was like, he got the rights to the franchise.
He's good at that, isn't he? Like.
Well, think about it now. Oh, Pete, I forgot to fucking ask you when we started. I'm going to put it in here before I get to my fun facts, because this is a thing I want to ask all our guests this season. We're halfway through the year. What film have you been to see in the cinema that you've enjoyed the most?
Oh, okay. Well, truth be told, I haven't hit up that many in the cinema for the obvious reasons. Does that? I mean, that blowout is my actual answer.
Okay.
But if in terms of like films released this year,
For this year, we'll say, yeah.
Geez,
This is going well anyway.
this is which.
I said this is going well. I didn't want to put you on the spot. Just have fun with it. It's fine.
I barely have gone to this.
Terry, I feel like your answer is already going to be Everything Everywhere All at Once or whatever that is. Would I be correct in saying that?
It's a tie between that and Maverick.
Right.
Oh, so you haven't even seen Maverick?
Do it, man. Go to a fucking empty cinema and go see it, and you'll be fucking blown away.
Empty?
Well, because it's still COVID and stuff. So like,
no, like that's I like it's. I don't mind. I would like to go see with an audience, like kind of that kind of flick.
We went to see it, and it was like a third of the full cinema, and even then, you're still like, this is fucking brilliant. Like, it's cheesy, it's earnest, it's fucking brilliant because they're in the fucking planes, and like the only one that looks comfortable in the plane is Tom Cruise. The rest of them are all like, apparently they were all saying like they had like sick bags in between their legs because they like were not like all like Miles Teller and Glenn Powell. Yeah.
He is a madman.
Saving cinema.
Like it may, and I know, like we all know, he's a madman, like in general. But like, I have not got one bad word to say about him on screen at all.
Behind the camera, anything.
Behind the camera is a completely different story.
No, I just mean in his role as producer or whatever.
Right,
like that.
yes.
Like, you know,
Yes,
I love the fact that he was like, no, there's absolutely no way. I would keep pushing this back. There's no way this was going to streaming.
But speaking of movies, if there's one thing, do they still space out the cinema seating? Where you can't? No, they don't.
I have my film.
Oh, here we go.
Cinema film, and like absolutely see this in the big screen if you can. Highest recommendation, Elvis. Baby, that is a fucking movie for the big screen now. You want to see a man's crotch thrust at you in slow motion and then sped up fast motion.
Is that and did that do well? Was that supposed to?
Yeah, it's class. I think it's a smash. Yeah,
it's made over 100 million at the domestic box office, which they didn't think it would do.
Right,
like in America, and like it's basically they said they're going to extend the theatrical run because really there's nothing else coming out. Until I think September. Like, you know, the Marvel movies are coming out, but like Thor had a big opening, bad word of mouth. You could see Elvis having a way more legs. So people are still talking about it. You know, like
can I ask you where you stand on the Marvel movies, Peter?
Me, I couldn't give a flying. I lost.
You can swear. You can swear. It's fine.
Please.
I lost all kind of traction with them. You know, you're kind of once you stop going to see two, then you're like so, and everything's like fucking Zorg was in this one, and you're like, I don't know who that is. It's like, oh, you see that? And I got it was very kind of overwhelming. So I was like, I'm just gonna see this way. I got very annoyed about like traits they had. Like one of my favorite ones was that Winter Soldier one, and they do the thing where they kill off Nick Fury, and it's actually genuinely emotional, got a bit of an emotional punch, and then they bring him back. He wasn't dead at all, and you're like, oh, that's it. These films operate.
Like,
I can't abide it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, there's no stakes. Okay, fair enough. And they'll just be like, they'll make you feel bad, and then they'll be like, oh no, but don't worry, he's alive. You're like, well, it's sometimes nice to feel those like cathartic kind of feelings. And I don't know. I think if they're pox now at this stage, I just can't truck with them now.
Phase 4, we've been talking on the pod a lot about it, of like, because we did a whole series on what's so great about the MCU, because I hadn't seen any of them, like, and I think this was like by the end of phase 3 we started it, and I started off really thinking like the first few were very contentious episodes. I was like, it's fucking shite, what is this? Didn't get it at all, and then slowly but surely phase 2 and then phase 3 I was like, okay, I'm kind of into it now, and then phase 4 is just so bad, I think. And they've gone, and we talk about it a lot, but like the CGI in phase 4 is terribly bad. And that used to be that almost won me over a bit on CGI in phase 3. I'm like, well, Marvel actually do it very well. Like I'm not thinking, oh, that's not really a raccoon, or that's not really a, something. And now they've gone completely back the other way, where it's just like, well, I'm just out of it now. Like,
And
and it's because they're treating their VX. It's like they're basically kind of sweatshopping these VFX guys, and
yeah, we're just talking about it. Yeah, and
there's
it's
no
kind of like
union. Like,
they
no
know
union
people
giving
are
them
going to see it, so it's just like, well, we don't need to make it better. Like,
exactly
yeah.
3 week turnover on these mad big action sequences and stuff. You're like,
but
it's deranged.
Yeah,
it's not going to get any better until they stop making as much money as they are.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But I was reading today. It's like it's now become just content rather than
Yeah,
just actual films. Like whereas
and toys.
before, when it was Iron Man, they were teeing up stuff, and it was all, there was a kind of a marketing system in play. But it was all they're still trying to make these like idiosyncratic films and interest like movies that had a kind of crafted them and structured them. And now it is literally there. It's all on the belt, and like you're hearing about directors shooting. If some lad's doing a Spider-Man movie, someone else will direct other scenes from it that have like Gwyneth Paltrow in it. Like it's a total like kind of
like
she didn't know she was in the Spider-Man film. And she's like, well, I wasn't in that. There's that clip in the John Favreau chef show.
yeah.
He's like, no, you were. We were in it together. And she says, well, was I? Like she's rocking up reading something off an auto cue and bailing like
give me my check and I'll get out of here. But like I read about like Sam Raimi, who like the last movie, like have you ever listened to that podcast, Pete? Blank Check.
Literally, I will say I don't necessarily enjoy that well, but literally today I just finished this Oz Great and Powerful one. Literally today, that's gas. Now that I barely listen to it. Every now and again I'll dip in it. Like
I went through basically the Sam Raimi filmography for that miniseries, and I was like, I forgot how much I fucking loved Sam Raimi. How he has such his own style, the way the camera moves like a fucking person a lot, and which kind of happens in this movie as well. But like for the Doctor Strange movie, there's parts of it where you're like, oh, Sam Raimi. Oh, I see Sam Raimi. Brilliant. Oh, that's great. And then there's parts of it where it's just like, okay, that's flat and it's weird and doesn't really fit. And apparently what he has said was he didn't have the time. He'd have like 2 takes and he's like, okay, great. Whereas he's like, with the other, I had to prioritize what bits I could put myself into. And then the rest of it was just like, okay, well, that's just a shot with a VX background and I have to go. I don't have the time because, like you say, it's on the belt. It's fucking, we have to get it out for our fans. Like, it fucking sucks.
I find them like fairly disgusting. And the more I learn about it, I think it's like, and it's like, and they're not, for my mind, they're not even good like popcorn. Like, I love something that's like a fucking like a big movie. Kind of movie that's like an adventure that you go and get. And like they're just not it for me anymore. Like I feel like they're not even bothering with the sense of scale or scope or
like
anything. Like not actual scale, not actual transportative stuff. It's all like
I watched that trailer for the new Mission Impossible, and I'm like, that trailer, it looks
better.
more. I'm more excited to watch that trailer than I have the last few Marvel movies. Like
Oh yeah, like Avatar is coming back. Like I have no interest in like Avatar or anything like that. But like necessarily in terms of like it's not something I go back and revisit. But I'm like, that's gonna be I'll go to that
experience.
Like get the eyes blown in my head.
I stubbornly didn't go see it in the cinema last time, and it's one of my big movie going regrets.
It was pretty good.
And I'm like, I watched it.
I was gonna say, I found with Avatar, like that was when there was that 3D
that kicked it off because he perfected it. Like,
and I remember I went to see it, and I remember thinking afterwards, like, I loved it and I really enjoyed it, but I never want to see it again. That was my overwhelming thought. Like,
I've watched it once.
Desire to see it again, but it was brilliant. But I don't want to watch it anymore.
It's definitely like lower tier Cameron. Like, if you ever do Cameron miniseries, like,
well, we did 90s action movies on the Patreon, and Andy picked T2 and he picked True Lies.
True Lies, baby. I want. That's one I've been on my mind to revisit. I haven't seen it in years.
My opinion is it's very fun, but it doesn't. It's that I would have that kind of on my Cameron list of like below Aliens, below T1. Like, it's that to me was like, maybe it's The Abyss, then True Lies, even though it's fucking fun, but it just shows how good Cameron is. Like,
the biggest regret out of that 90s action series was not putting Face Off on it, which we covered last week, because I was only saying, like, I had this memory of Face Off as being like, the concept is mad and there's mad bits, but it's kind of boring. Like, it was anything but boring. I don't know why.
it's wild.
Never
It's
thought
like
that.
Wild.
It's insane.
an opera.
Yeah.
And like it's so mad that like it's such a mad like epic flick that I rewatched Broken Arrow. There his other like Travolta.
Andy picked that on his 90s action movie.
Yeah.
The first pick on his 90s action movie was he picked Broken Arrow and didn't pick Face Off.
It didn't work.
I mean, like it's not as mad or camp or operatic, but I like Broken Arrow. I like it's like a spaghetti western or something.
Yeah.
I kind of dig the whole like fucking like desert set and then like Travolta like hamming it up.
Oh, he's hamming it up big time.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's focus. I'll get us back on track.
Go on then. Hit us with
some fun facts. Some fun facts about Snake Eyes.
That'll be fun, Terry.
I'll do my best. The opening 20-minute Steadicam sequence is not all one continuous shot.
They did a very good job then. Yeah,
I know. However, there are 12 minutes of a continuous take.
Whoa.
Pretty fucking good, like.
And I couldn't spot where they...
No.
There was one bit, this time I was keeping there's a bit where after he's met Cyrus, is it Louis' character? And there's a camera's going around the corner and it kind of...
That's your cut there.
The wall, it's just the walls covered and he goes around and then he catches him on the lift or something. It's all like... But I was like, oh, that's probably a cut there. But otherwise, no, I was like, it's pretty seamless. Like, and that was seamless as well.
Yeah, that's
the kind of thing where you don't mind, you understand that you're gonna be practically gonna be cuts, but like it is the entire thing is you don't see it and you're like, oh, that's probably where they did it, but you don't necessarily kind of see the jar. And like Cage is animal in that scene. Like he's what he must like as an actor, especially an actor that likes to go big. Like fuck, imagine getting that. You're like, yes. I was going to compare it because I was like, was Saving Private Ryan that year? But like. The whole thing of like the opening sequence has been this big showpiece thing. That kind of sets like the rest of the movie kind of has to recover from and like make the argument that like this recovers from it better than Saving Private Ryan in a weird way. As in like I love Saving Private Ryan, but like you're like it's all well maybe it's kind of equal. Like that's all the people talk about when they talk about films like
that fucking D-Day like and. You're right. Like some of the reviews for this movie were like it's on fumes by the end because the opening is so strong, which I don't agree with.
I don't. I think it wraps up easily. I remember jumping ahead, but like not like the climax rather than the final kind of stretch. But it's definitely I think
it's 96 minutes.
When I saw that, I couldn't believe it. I was like,
And like here's a very fun fact. Actor Kevin Dunn, who plays Lon Logan, the pay-per-view anchor, said the fact that Gary Sinise's character was named Kevin Dunn caused a lot of confusion. So much so that I picked it up. I was like, that guy there is Kevin Dunn. Yeah, it's like Commander Kevin Dunn. So much so that he was given Kevin Dunn was given a fancy penthouse suite during filming. However, this was meant for Sinise and then registered it under his character's name. So the real Kevin Dunn had to just end up staying in like a chain hotel.
So he got shafted again.
He's like,
I have to say, Kevin Dunn is a very boring name for a character in a film. Like when your main character's called Rick Santoro, you're like, yeah, now we're cooking with gas. Yeah. And then he's like,
you're
Kevin
my best
Dunn.
friend, Commander Kevin Dunn.
They were probably trying to make him as straight arrowed as possible in comparison to the madness that you get.
Well, here you go, Andy. For your boy, Kevin Dunn was actually written with Will Smith in mind.
What?
But Paramount balked at his $12 million asking price.
So the character, Gary Sinise's character, was written with Will Smith in mind.
Yeah. Imagine Will Smith doing that turn. It'd be fucking brilliant.
I feel like what that would have... I was thinking about that because I read that before and I was like, double checked it there when I revisited, and I was like, how would that have worked? Because like that would have given it up. You're like, with Will Smith, it'd be jarring to see Will Smith show up in a Cage film at that, like the height of his career, and then he's playing like his best friend. So I wonder if, because De Palma loves Hitchcock, and I was thinking maybe it was like this Psycho thing where you have Janet Leigh in Psycho, and the spoiler alert, like she's a big star in all the promotions, and then she dies, halfway through the film.
It does work better, I guess, that Nicolas Cage is the name above the title, and it's just Nicolas Cage.
But if they had cast Will Smith, I was thinking it could be a cool thing to have like Nicolas Cage and Will Smith and present it as they team up to solve this this congressman's murder in an Atlantic City, and you're like that. They pitch the movie as that, but then the reveal like relatively early on is that
40 minutes. I clocked there. I was like, oh, it's like 40 minutes, and they do this reveal, and then you're like, there's still more than half the film left.
And it was I think it was smart because I was thinking like, geez, they give, because my memory of it was they revealed it early, but I was like, actually, I think with that kind of character, that trouble, you just guess. Even if they were trying to drag it out, they're like, he's going to be the bad lad. Like, it's like there's not, it won't be satisfying if he is.
Who's left? Who's so on? Like, well, it's like, well, it's not Nick Cage. If it's not Gary Sinise, who's left? Is it the boxer, or is it like there's nobody else like, that is an actor that you would recognize? That is like, okay, one last thing is the original ending involved a hurricane and tidal wave hitting Atlantic City boardwalk and killing Gary Sinise. ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, they'd made this giant VFX shot, but ultimately Palma cut it because it tested terribly. He's like, I think he mentioned it on his documentary De Palma, and they showed it in De Palma, the documentary, of like what it looked like, and he's like, and nobody bought it, nobody cared. Like,
so he was killed by the hurricane or whatever.
Yeah, I think it like floods the casino. The tidal wave floods the casino, because at the end, Nick Cage kind of mentions almost drowning.
Yeah,
and I was like, did he almost drown? It's like, not really. Like, there was a bit of rain or whatever like that. Like,
that would have been a mad way to go.
Yeah, I much preferred the other end.
Oh, me too. I think that like it was definitely like they're really going into like the biblical imagery in the whole film. Like he's like Christ kind of like bloody passed out like at the end, and the whole like kind of bit like the whole really heightened like sell betray for the 30 pieces of silver kind of thing and then they go like, but like I think I love how it ended. I was like looking at the scene, the way he goes out now, it's like it's captured on like the whole thing goes down, and it's not like a movie scene. It's not like, it feels like he looks like a trapped animal. His eyes are darting.
So
like,
good.
It just feels like exactly how it will be. He's like, what the hell? I'm fucked. How do I get out of this? And then you can just feel when he does eventually shoot himself through the heart. It's like a sudden movement. It's not like some like big dramatic thing that it just feels like a thing. Someone shot. Oh, it was.
And like we talk about Face Off with like all the fucking. In this movie, the gunshots are like. Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and it's just what I love about that last bit is when he goes for the handle, and he just goes for the handle, and then it's like stop, and he's like, his hand just kind of freezes, and then he turns around, and then turns back around, and you're like, wow. And like I was looking him up because I watched this movie when, remember like Disney Plus, they launched that Star part of it, and it was like, oh, all the stuff from Hulu or whatever is going to be on it.
Excuse me.
This was one of the first things I saw that was added, and I was like, oh, fucking Snake Eyes, I haven't seen it. Like when I rented the tape with the lads when I was fucking 12 or 13, because we'd watched Con Air and Face Off, and I remember watching this with my mates, and like none of them liking it because they're like, where's the action?
I bet you they hated it, and you
and I loved it. And like I was thinking to myself, I hadn't seen it since I was a fucking kid, and when I watched it there, I was like, oh man, like the camera work, the fucking like the drama, all that stuff in it. Like I fucking loved it. That was only I would say maybe it's almost a year ago now at this stage. When it came on, but like watching it again, I was like, it's really well paced, like really well acted, and like the craftsmanship in it, like that's what I mean. The money is on the table in terms of like, we're gonna make this giant production, and you're gonna let De Palma direct it his way, and I'm like, so much so, like we're talking about those Marvel movies there where it's like there's no craft in a lot of them. Like I could have fucking done that Spider-Man movie. Like you're not showing me in it. John Watts is not showing me any of his stuff he learned in film school. Fucking De Palma is showing me his style. He's showing me fucking everything here. I thought it was brilliant. Now, Andy, I'm going to throw it to you. and tell me what you think. Because look, we're all friends here. I want you to like, don't hold back. If
Please don't. I'd be
Yeah.
disappointed if you
Yeah.
did.
Because I know you said before,
never
it's like,
do.
I know you said before where it's like the two you guys will talk and you'll like it, and I'll say it, and then I'll be like, oh, maybe or whatever. So just fucking rip
Okay.
the band-aid off.
Okay. This is not the movie that I thought it was going to be at all. I'll say that.
Yeah, you're saying.
I did not expect that. I did not expect this. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, Andy.
thought-
Come on.
I thought it was. This was the first time that I've seen since we've started doing this series of like, oh, there's Nick Cage. You know what I mean? Like the Nick Cage that I know, or that I think I know, like of that sort of like every
motor
few minutes,
mouth.
like, he definitely ad-libbed that. He definitely, like, or his cadence.
You're a bum,
whatever.
Tyler.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But I was actually blown away by the last half an hour of this movie, where it sort of the music in it and all.
The music
it just goes to,
is
like,
very
this
Hitchcock, like
film
very
noir sort of. And I was like, because I watched the last half an hour in work this morning. I went in early and watched it, and I was saying to Kerry when I came home, I was like, the second half of because she watched the first half, I was like, it's very different than the first. Like you were saying, like the first half, Cage is like unleashed, and then as soon as he finds out about Gary's niece, it's kind of like he's just very like
he's crestfallen, like
and it's like a completely different character, but like you see, like it was really well acted. I thought, like, I have to say, like, and like I seen a review online saying it's a 3-ring circus of a movie, and I think
bollocks, like,
but like I think that was meant complimentary, like of just like there's so much going on. I remember thinking like I was like, what? I was like the first 10 minutes, I'm like, I kind of thought like they just said, and again, I kind of like, I mean this as a compliment, but I kind of thought, I was saying to Kerry, like, it's like they stuck a camera on Cage and were like, you do whatever you want. Like that's the vibe I got. It's just Cage doing what he wants, like, and we'll keep up with you, and we'll, I mean, like, I guess that's what
you're supposed to be following Rick Santoro around the place.
Yeah. And I kind of thought like the first maybe 15 minutes, like I was enjoying it, but I'm like, what?
But that's it. Like that's
like I was trying to catch up.
What's great about it is it really is like setting up a bunch of dominoes.
Yeah.
And then when the fucking gun goes off, it's like and just follow them and or see where the chips fall, whatever way you want to look at it.
Now,
I'm like,
I will say my only complaint, because I always have one, was I thought that the only thing that didn't really work for me was the whole air raid defense thing as being the thing that they were trying to stop, because you don't really see that. It's just people talking about it, and it's kind of like, I'm not seeing that in action. I'm not connected with that at all. It's just like, okay, I get it, like that's important and they're trying to stop that. But I was kind of like,
that
I almost had to rewind it. I was like, oh, that was obviously an important thing she was saying to him there on the stairs, because I was kind of like, why is this, like, why are they all, and I was like, oh, that thing, okay, like,
for somebody
like,
who's such an amazing screenwriter, and like he is one of the great modern screenwriters, David Koepp, like when it is the air raid system is being falsified is the MacGuffin. It's like, it's not super interesting. No, and it's not the thing that like okay, it didn't bother me, but like if you were to like, if you're not enjoying the movie and then they say, and this is the thing, because it's like, what? Like, fuck off. I could see that if you're not on board.
I think the payoff of it is when he's talking about how all those guys in the submarine he let drown. And that's so you're like, oh, this is, he won. Okay, but that is obviously later then. I think, yeah, you're right. It's like, it needs to be something. And obviously they're trying to give it something new, something that is like, it's some semi-believable. It's not like
too like abstract, like out there. And I was kind of like, I'm sure that is important, like, and in the real world that would be important, but for the sake of this movie, that's low.
Well, and the character like that John Hurt plays, I can't think of his name, but he owns the casino.
Yes,
but he's also the head of the company that does the thing, and that was like, that seemed like, I mean, it's possible.
No, that's the thing. It's supposed to be. They kind of said it's Trump. which they all are.
I thought of Trump when I saw it. I was like, I guess he's got like tendrils in different things.
But also like to be like, oh, I have this big government contract that that's like a bit of a stretch. You know what I mean? Like,
is it like, did they go so extreme to pull off a double assassination?
Well,
it might like.
That scene between John Hurd and Gary Sinise after, like, he's knocked off 2 of his team, and he's like, "Am I on that list?"
Yeah,
that little, like, it's not even like a quiver, but it's also like he also is like, "Fuck, maybe I, am I? Am I
am the billionaire, like funder of this whole scheme?" But
when that was on, I was thinking like that scene with John Hurd and Gary Sinise. I was thinking like, oh, I think this is my favorite scene in the movie so far. And then the next scene was Sinise and Cage in the booth, where I was like, oh no, this is my favorite. Like there was a few times where in that last half hour I'm like, oh no, this is probably even better. And it was almost like they were in like a submarine or something. I got that. I really got that vibe. I know there was all this sort of, weather outside. I was like, are they still in the casino here? Like, it was so vast and it was so empty. And I was kind of like, are they still like?
It's a great setting for a movie.
Yeah.
The fight floor, and then the casino, as a place to run and hide. It's fantastic. And like the fact that they're like, you're penned in when Carla Gugino was trying to get away.
Yeah.
And she's like, she can't get out without her identity being taken or anything like that. Like, it's from a screenplay perspective, it's great logistics. There's great hurdles that have to be overcome for her. And like, like I say, up until the assassination, the fact that you're just kind of letting everything wash over you. Yeah. You're along for the ride, and you're like, you're walking and talking you feel like you're walking and talking with Nick Cage. You almost feel like you're on the phone with him.
Yeah.
Or like.
And can I ask Peter, would this be your favorite Nick Cage movie?
After watching, seriously, genuinely after watching it today, it'd be hard bet. I watched it this morning, and I was like, you're just kind of like, no, I watched it at lunch because I was on the clock today. No.
Everybody is listening to this.
Of course.
No, but when I watched it, like as I was saying, I like in my head, I was like, I love De Palma, and I've been revisiting some De Palmas lately. Like I rewatched it, and like I'm like, in my memory, like these incredible, like these things I've seen since college, these incredible, wild, fucking vivid things, and they still are that. But I'm like, oh, they're so much more jaggedy and abrasive that like I couldn't show it. I've been recommending these films for years, and then people are like, what? And then I was like, oh no, I see why people. I get the De Palma hate. I'm a real De Palma defender. He's one of my favorite directors. But I was revisiting the films. I'm like, oh yeah, these are kind of rich meals that that are not like that don't go down easy. Like, and so I was kind of expecting the same thing, because I was like, I hadn't seen Snake Eyes in years. I watched it and I was like electrified by it, and I was like, this is a pound for pound great flick. I was like,
nobody talks about it though. Nobody talks about
it. It's like they talk about the first 20 minutes of it, but that's it, and they don't rate it. They don't think the film holds up. I think the film really holds up. I think it holds together well. I think it, for a mystery that's like has like a lot of like kind of
mystery that it gets solved, like you say, 40 minutes into it.
It gets all 40 minutes into it, but like, there's multiple character or multiple like kind of point of views, the different characters. You don't know what everyone's kind of motivations are, and it's all obfuscated. Obviously, the MacGuffin is kind of like, what? Like, these are things that throw me at the best of times. Like you kind of get lost with. But like watching it today, I was like, this is actually, and it's a testament to the Kep screenplay and De Palma, like the kind of the visual story. He's such a visual director. And the two guys, Cage and Gary Sinise, they're kind of the way they sell their relationship. I think like it's an incredible film, and I like the way that they use, like, it's a real good noir, which I didn't have a memory of, like, in terms of just the idea, and like they really play up the biblical thing of it. But like, it's I love when noir films do like that really simple, like, but like almost biblical in terms of like cost of the human soul thing of like a character needs to make this impossible choice. And like when you get to it, and I genuinely was like so, and I knew how more or less how the film resolved itself. But like when he gets the offer, you kind of feel for him because he set up this big abrasive guy. He wants to be the mayor of Atlantic City. He's a king of the town. He's got all these contacts. He's got this like just network where he's the head of it, and he's like he says it. He's like I don't want to leave. Why would I ever want to leave this place?
Yeah.
I wouldn't hear that's it. Like, and then he's like he gets the chance to do a genuinely one good thing in his life, and it would mean costing everything. It costing it all. And you see it genuinely breaks his heart.
And
he could sell it out and you would get it. He could sell her. And I love the way they don't play Kevin Dunn as like this like in the second he's revealed, he's like this like bad guy who doesn't give a he is dying for Rick Santoro to just be predictable, as he said, just keep staying on your track. It's like just take the money, like I could kill you and like nothing would happen, but like I'm offering you like.
What did they say? If it was anybody else, you'd be dead. You know?
Yeah, like, exactly.
I just because you're talking about that, like the end is brilliant. Like how it's he's a hero. It's very much I was getting like Bat Lieutenant vibes of like
me too. Yeah,
he gets the medal and stuff like that. Like you get that, and then like the next thing, and what was fucking great is he's helped your man Lou. He's helped Kevin Dunn, the actor, get his break. And now he's reporting on him. Every clip you see him, he's like, hey Rick, what about these allegations? It's like his old buddy that he went along with, and like then at the end, where it's like, he's going to prison, he's going to prison.
I actually thought that was so funny, and like I actually laughed out loud because it was like literally in the last like 3 minutes of the movie, he's gone from being like lauded as a hero to being found out as corrupt, loses his family and job, and he's about to go to jail. Like when he gets out of his car, he's like, "Come on," he's like, okay. And I was like, okay. Like, I guess that didn't last long.
But Gary Sinise said it. He's like, people when he's like, they're gonna dig into your stuff. Like you're getting a spot, like you can't hold up, take the money.
Apparently that was De Palma's voice saying, "What about the cocaine?" or whatever.
Was it?
Yeah.
I just on De Palma, like what I loved in this, like obviously the floating camera stuff, like that when I guess we're talking about the plot, but we're talking around it. Like the whole thing is there's an assassination. Carla Gugino, basically, she becomes the MacGuffin almost at times, where it's like Gary Sinise is trying to find her, Nick Cage is trying to find her. And there's the great scene, really inventive, I thought, for a movie where it's like he's up with the cameraman, and they're jumping around. Your man from Dumb and Dumber, Mike Starr, they're jumping around, being like, "Oh, try this camera," and then they see her. They see her with fucking Craig from Malcolm in the Middle, and like she basically is using him to go back to the room. And the idea that they're on the elevator, creating tension out of nothing, really. They're being on the elevator, Nick Cage in the other elevator, he's on the walkie-talkie to Mike Starr, and he's like, like, what floor are they on? It's like, I can't see. And he's like, hold on, I'll look up what room he's in or whatever. Gary Sinise has pressed 38. Craig presses 35. Then Gary Sinise presses 36. Immediately comes down the stairs. He's just missed them on this fucking corridor where everything looks the same. And you're like, fuck, is he gonna find them? Where is he? And then, like you say, he's outside one of the doors, and you just do this fucking amazing like float camera up over all the hotel rooms. And I remember the last time I watched it, I was like, man, that's fucking unreal filmmaking. I wish in the movies today you had somebody with like an ounce of that imagination. Of just
and had the pull to be like, I'm doing this, and the studio to be like, oh, go on, like that's I'm going to show this, like getting a load of college boys, and like it's like all this. It's like again the Hitchcock thing. It reminded me because I totally forgot this was a thing till I watched it, and it's like pure Rear Window that like with Jimmy Stewart, like seeing all the different, just get the kind of glimpses of everything, but it's like this whole other thing going on while this conspiracy is happening. These people are just going about their lives. And it's pure showmanship. Like I love it.
The logistics of it being like we're going to build the set, or we're on whatever it is of like 4 hotel rooms back to back, and I'm going to float this over, and we're going to see it, and then we're going to come down around, and we're going to settle with Craig on the bed, and she's in the fucking bathroom.
You
know, like it just fucking.
And even the hallways of those, like at those, like they look like they just go on forever. Like, you know, you just get the sort of vastness of.
I just.
Pure shining corridor type thing. It goes around the corner. It's like,
I was like, oh, this is fucking movie making. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like that was the thing, because like with these sort of movies, like I've been inclined in the past to be like, if I don't understand it, I'm just like, I don't shite. But whereas this one, like, it kept me engaged. Like you were saying, like I was hooked. From start, and even if I didn't, even like things sort of materialize later, where you see it from someone else's point of view, and then it makes more sense. You know, like that. Oh, that's why he was about to go in that door, or you know, this. That, kind of like it was fun. It was fun. Like it was a fun movie, but it was fun putting that stuff together. Where you're just okay, so that's happening there.
Like mysteries like that, like sometimes they can be enjoyable, and sometimes like you can be like, oh, fuck off. And this is definitely, because it's so well done. You're along. I found anyway. You're along for the ride, and like. The idea of like the amount of first person, like the camera is almost a character at times in this. Like, you know, like the idea of like the boxer. We haven't really talked about fucking Lincoln. It was fucking
brilliant character. I've never, like, the actor, I was looking him up. He didn't have much of a he had a fine career, but like this, because I was like, he has such heavy. I forgot how much like
I think
dramatic kind of presence he brings. Like the scene with him and Santoro in the hotel suite, that was like again, it was like proper noir, like old school 50s. Like you through the fight and he's feeling bad about it, and it's haunting him. And like the scene with him and the lawyer, like in the flashback, it's all very kind of, again, none of this, well, the latter scene was with Cage, but the first scene was with Cage, but like it's all with very like you're seeing these other like character actors kind of have these amazing kind of juicy kind of turn moments like that are still like fueling the script or driving this script. It's not like
that's it. Everybody's getting their piece. You know what I mean? And like the idea, like you feel it when he says, you know, your man's a bum and he fucking swung.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You really like,
and he's like, but I was already too far back. And like the music hits, and he's like, I'd already given up what was me then, or whatever, like, you know, that kind of way. And you're like, you know, you feel like how much it's weighing on him.
Few things get me in movies than like having to throw a fight. You're like, oh, that's like it's such a like heartbreaking thing. Yeah.
Because they're trained to win so much, and then it's like, oh yeah, and he's like, I gave up the one thing that made me me.
Yeah,
was being
there. Now, all these people think I'm shy.
Yeah.
And like, is there something to be said for you guys might know this more than me, but like I kind of like when you get like a big actor or a big lead or something like that, like Cage is very good at like,
he's generous, isn't he?
Yeah, like giving these guys the screen when they're doing their thing, you know, for as big and bombastic, especially at the start, as his character is, he's still kind of like when they're talking, I'm not looking at Cage, I'm looking at them, and you know, I know
completely.
Like a lot of that is those actors themselves, but like I think Cage has a lot to do with that as well. Like,
no, he does. Like
he loves to play, doesn't he?
He's and he like,
loves to play. That's what he would say.
Yeah, and like he loves the craft with so much. So it's like he'd be so fired off someone else. It's not like he's not a movie star that would come in and not like someone there who's taller than him, who's like got more jokes than him. It's like he will obviously rise to every challenge, and he wants to make.
It's good. Not. I feel like Vin Diesel and The Rock.
No, exactly.
Yeah, you know that like they have that in their contracts. Fucking Vin Diesel and The Rock. You know you can only hit each other so many times, or they can't lose fights to each other. Some fucking bullshit like that in the contract.
Ego contract.
Oh, 100%. Like,
it's sick, and you're like,
since Fast 5, because like Vin Diesel beat up The Rock in Fast 5, and it was like since that it's like
on screen, like
on screen, yeah. So then it was like
it's the movie though. Like.
Then that's it. It's your character or whatever. But then it was like written into his contract. The Rock is like, I can only take X amount of punches, or
ridiculous.
I can't. It's like grow up, like fuck
That's,
off, like it's pathetic, isn't it? Like
It's literally that scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Al Pacino where he's like, at first you get slugged by this guy, and then eventually the audience get like, it's like that scene, but like in real life.
My
Like
God.
he's like, you got beat the heavy next week, huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, Cage is like like he's an animal in this, and like all the big stuff he's doing, I mean, he's not a subtle man, but like I feel like it's all in keeping with the character of Rick Santoro, and like this kind of like obviously he plays it way bigger than any other actor would, but it's totally justified. It's so much more exciting and interesting. And then when the fall happens, when he's sitting on the steps with her, and she tells him what went down with Kevin Dunn, and he's like, he's a different character from then on. Like he's just so miserable. And then when he's like seeing him on the big blimp thing, you could just, it's just like
and you see Gary Sinise's feet on the top step. And like I was watching it, I was like, is that someone there? Like, because at the time I was like, oh, there's someone there. I was like, oh, is it actually? And then you just see the steps walk down, like, oh, he is there.
But like there's the first time, like when Gary Sinise is telling the story, and it's like, I chased the redhead up there, and then she palmed me up, and then I heard the gunshots. He hears the gunshots, and then like fires 4 fucking things
through the.
It could be anybody.
Like, doesn't even take aim at the sniper.
It's like just like fire, and it's like,
oh, I thought it was a silencer. It was actually like a stadium microphone.
Exactly. Like, and then like, I was like, if that was the truth, like Jesus Christ, you got lucky there. But
he'd be filling out some forms now.
Exactly.
I have to say as well on the scene where Gary Sinise and Nick Cage are in the sort of booth or whatever, that like just the pain in Cage's eyes, like that sort of like I genuinely felt for him there, and I didn't think so far in our Nick Cage series I hadn't seen that, and I didn't think that he had that in him. Now I know you guys probably are way more, you know more about like that he definitely does have that in him, but like that was the first time I've seen where he's like, oh, the hurt, like he's not overdoing it. His eyes are just all like, his eyes look like they were like twice as big or something, like they were just like watery and
like it's, I don't even know if it, like symbolism is the right word, but just him looking at the bloody dollar, bloody $100 note, and then he's like, I never killed nobody, like just to himself. He's like, I might be a piece of shit. I've done a lot of fucking shit, rip off drug dealers or whatever else I do, but like I have a line that I don't cross. And like fucking Gary Sinise has skipped over it many times now. Like,
great. I was like,
that's what makes it work. Is like these two men, and they always say like, oh, no bad guy thinks he's a bad guy, but you totally get Kevin Dunn's point of view of like, I am, this is
for the 11 people evil. Or the 22 people, whatever it was that died.
So it's a necessary evil to prevent like further things.
You can see there's a very subtle sort of look even in his eyes as well, where he's talking about like the 28 men, and he's like, you ever hear a man gasping for like it's like they don't die quietly, but like there's a look
pretty good Sinise, pretty good Sinise,
but they just widen just slightly where you can just see the hurt for a second, and then he's trying to get it back together again.
He's so good.
Was fucking brilliant. That was so good.
He was electrifying in that scene.
I'd love to see him back on the big screen doing something like I'm looking him up now. He's like fucking
CSI for years.
He's doing that. I think he's on one of those fucking Criminal Minds. Like
he's got tenure on one of those.
He's on
exactly.
CSI NY.
He does a lot of
97 episodes
stuff, like military vet stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
But like, looking at his film stuff here, like Beyond Glory is 2015. Sergeant Will Gardner is 2019. I still believe
such a great face though. Like he's like, not used enough.
No, that's it. But the way he speaks, he has this kind of like
voice to match it.
And he seems like a decent man. Like that's like cast a bit like, because he does, like he's got the hooded eyes. He can play like a sleaze well. Like ever see like Ransom, something like that. Or it's like
kind of similar to this. He's like the policeman in Ransom, and then he's the one behind the ransom. Spoilers for Ransom.
Like you could buy both sides of him. You could buy the face and the heel.
But he does. You buy the heel turn, but he doesn't play the sleaze like he does in other things. In this, that's it. It's like, and he's regretful when he's plugging the two in the back. But you're also like, I also buy that he's able to do this.
And that's a fucking great scene where you're like, oh, he kills the girl, and then your man is like, wait, I've been shot.
Yeah,
I've been shot. And I was like, well, he shot you. Like, but it's like, that's probably what I would say. If somebody shot me, and like, I say Cantwell shot me, and I looked up and I was like, oh, my friend Andy is here. Andy, I've been shot.
Yeah.
You know, like, help me, I've been shot. Like, yeah.
It's such a lovely detail.
This is for all these fucking movies you made me watch.
Make me watch another movie over 2 hours 30 again. Make me watch another one.
Oh no.
But the only thing that I thought was that I didn't quite get as well, was the sort of the set or whatever it was at the very end, where like maybe I miss something. I have a tendency to miss a lot in these things, but like, okay, the weather's getting worse or whatever. This big fucking arrow thing comes through where she's hiding out.
Yeah,
that looks like a paper wall almost that she's in. I'm like, well, get out there, like. And then it's kind of like they're just out in the middle of, you know what I mean? Like I was kind of a bit. I lost my bearings a bit there. You know what I mean?
You can tell like there's certain parts where it's like, we got to go home. Let's wrap it up here. Yeah. So like, let's just reshoot. Well, look, the wall comes off, and the news truck is just here now.
Yeah, that one was like, whoa. I was like, okay, right, this is happening now.
Yeah, exactly.
I would like,
or whatever. It was the policeman's like, drop the gun, you know, and then the news crowd just come in or whatever.
I have more faith now that Gary Sinise could be like, I can bluff my way out of this before he goes like
the idea. Again, I love it where he's like, you got nothing, kid. You got snake eyes.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't even seem like too like over the head. He's like, tell them what we have here. Tell them what we have here. And he's like, you got snake eyes.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's the name of the movie.
Yeah. And like it works. It
works, man. It fucking does work.
And it works because you're like, it's a believable and like it's a believable arc for Rick Santoro, where you're like, you genuinely don't want him to do what the thing that he's tempted by, but you totally get that why he do it, and you like it's impeccable stuff. I think it's like this beautiful, like simple.
That's
like,
it. They keep
fight for the soul kind of thing. You're and it's like and then at the end when he does that, you're like, it's like one last lifeline where he could kind of get out, where he can have what he wants and still like throws
and like
the wolves.
What makes it so good for me, I think, is you said the word simple there. There's so many things in it that are like, that's deadly because it's simple. Like the bit at the end where he is leading Gary Sinise to, and it's very blowout with John Lithgow following Nancy Allen, of like, he's following Nick Cage, but the lightning strikes and he sees the shadow of Gary Sinise behind him. And I was like, how has nobody thought to do this in a movie? I was like, I don't ever remember seeing this in a movie, but it's so fucking simple. And
so
like,
effective.
it's so effective. He sees it and then he's like, oh shit, keep going. You know, and you're like, and I'm like,
and even Gary Sinise looks up like, oh fuck, like that's
was I made? I'll keep, you know, he's still just walking forward. Like, I'll just keep going. And it's like that kind of like simplicity makes it like so much better, as opposed to people trying to be too clever. You know what I mean? Like when people try to be too twisty or too clever, and you're like, okay, fuck off. And I know we're talking about a movie that has about 10 different twists and turns, but they're all very, 1, explainable, 2, character driven, and 3, really at the end, it's not that convoluted.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like it's essentially a fucking false flag or whatever.
Like you would think on paper, if you were describing the movie to someone, you'd be like it seems like it shouldn't work. But, you know, everything together, it does work. It's like, and then like instead of at the end, you're gonna find out 40 minutes in, and then it's pretty much a different movie altogether. And then this and that, you know, like if you were describing it, you'd be like, what? You know, but like just when you see it all on screen, I'm like, it's like you said, you have the director, the it's written well, it's acted well. You're kind of like,
I had planned to watch it on Saturday with my wife. She'd never seen it, and like I had a bit of a fucking dicky tummy, so I was in bed early, so we didn't watch it together. I wasn't signing up for that now, Andy, but I appreciate it. But I was in bed early, didn't watch it, And then I watched it. She was in bed early enough last night, so I watched it on my own. And I woke up this morning and said, I was like, I'm actually raging that we didn't watch it together on Saturday, because I was like, I think you'd fucking love it. Of just like that kind of, from somebody who like, she's sick of me being like, let's watch this fucking 2 hours.
She was probably delighted.
No, but
I
like,
got away with one.
I was
I
like,
got
no,
away with one. He didn't make me
but-
watch it.
But this is one of the ones that I'm like, you just said you fucking liked it. Like, it's one of the ones that like, well, I made you watch the fucking 2.5-hour movie that you hated, but this one would actually have been a fucking home run. So like,
Honestly,
No, yeah. I know
Terry, like
exactly.
me and Kerry, when we're watching movies, like generally if I don't like it, like Kerry likes it less, and so if ever I say Terry's recommended a movie, she doesn't want to hear it. She doesn't want to hear it anymore. Like, I'm sorry, his track record, like these are probably epic movies that like you two would absolutely love, but like when we're watching them, it's just like, I'm like, no, look. And like, I almost have to preface it with like, right, Terry did recommend it. However, I have heard it's good from other sources as well.
well,
Like, that's the way to get a
burned
movie
through all the classics with you. You know what I mean? Like, I've burned through recommending all the nailed on classics.
I think
So
you should leave.
Great show. I think you're
thinking of ending things. I'm always.
Well, that was for the podcast. Did you like that movie, P?
I haven't seen it from me since. I will. Oh, and you're shaking your head.
I mean,
I love
you'll probably actually love it. I just
if you like
you'll probably get it and therefore like it. But like,
I don't know. I'm thick. Like, I like movies. And I'm pretty thick.
I was angry. That's one. Like, that's the one out of all. We've been doing this iteration of the podcast for a few years now, and that's the one that's made me proper angry. Where I was only saying to Terry, I was like, I'm in prison here. Like, just how long is this on for? I'm like, I had tapped out 30 minutes in. I'm like, when? I'm like pressing up on Netflix every 2 minutes. Like, how long? You know what I mean? I'm just, I'm so tapped out. I'm just looking at it.
Miniseries? What was that under?
That was under Netflix. That was like, we did all Netflix original movies, and it was to kind of see. The premise I was saying was, I was talking to a few people and it's like, oh, I cancelled my Disney Plus, I cancelled my Prime, but I kept me Netflix. And then I'm looking on Netflix. I'm like, why does everybody keep Netflix? Why does everybody have Netflix? Because there's not like, I don't watch Stranger Things, but like, that's their big fucking TV series or whatever. There's not a huge amount of like TV. Like, if I'm watching Netflix, I'm watching it for Seinfeld. You know, But so I said, maybe we should look at like the original movies they do and see if it's actually fucking worth. Are they any use?
Terry's ones were more like the Oscar.
Like, I picked Roma, I picked Mank, I picked Thinking of Ending Things. What else did I pick? I picked fucking.
What would you? I don't know. I can't remember.
I picked The White Tiger, but that was a bit like, I was trying to throw you a bone there, and it wasn't. That was okay.
It's not a bone.
But yeah, I picked ones. I picked the ones that I was like, because they're desperately trying to win the Oscar. You know what I mean?
Mine were more like In the Tall Grass. No one gets out alive. Like, just these dumb.
Like, what I will say about that, like, it made me realize that like there is a place for those horror movies you would see in Extravision that you would never have heard of. Like, everybody's heard of The Exorcist, but nobody has heard of The Matriarch. You know, like this movie, this video, they'd be like, oh, what's this about? And it's like, oh, the grandma of a family dies and is possessed by a demon and comes back to life and tries to kill everyone. And you're like, okay. And like, I could see something like that being made for Netflix today. They're like, here's 10 million. Go make me
that's where they're
content.
Being
made now.
And that's what Andy picked.
Well, look, should we tie a bow on this one?
Yeah, I think I'm delighted. You liked it. And I was saying to Andy, I had a feeling you would like it, Pete, just because like when he said, oh look, he's gonna go with Snake Eyes, you can't do Bringing Out the Dead. I was like, fucking, we can talk to Palma. Brilliant.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I genuinely like, I was like, I once toyed, every now and again I'll get out like the urge to do my own podcast. I was like, Brian the podcast, where I just do podcast.
Hell yeah, man.
So this stealth pilot for it.
I did blow out there. I've done Snake Eyes. Mission Impossible was on TV fucking a little back, and like, I know like that the best scene in that movie for me is when it's fucking Tom Cruise and your man Kittredge sitting across the table from each other, and they're doing these weird fucking canted Dutch angles. Like, when to see if you come around the room with me, like he's 4, 5, 6 or whatever. It's like, you haven't seen me upset, Kittredge. And I'm like, fucking yeah, like filmmaking, man. Brilliant. But I was looking at his filmography and I was like, I haven't seen The Untouchables since I was like fucking 12 when I watched it with my dad. I'm like, maybe that was the fucking due to go back to that. Like, Carlito's Way I wasn't mad on it the last time I watched it, but there's
Carlito's Way is my favorite.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Untouchables, I adore. I love all the gangster flicks, but like Carlito's Way is
Scarface is another one that like I've always been like, I understand that people go mental for it, but like it's compared to the bigger like Godfather, Goodfellas, whatever like that, like it was always lower tier, where some people are like, oh, it's the fucking best one. Another one that I'd want to maybe go back and revisit. He's got fucking good stuff there, like.
Oh yeah, like he's kind of got this amazing thing where his instincts are like so outside the system. Like see something like Raising Cain or Sisters or something. They're like so wild and like kind of pulpy and crazy and like kind of almost like hold the audience in contempt in this amazing way. And but then he's so good getting something like teaming up with a writer like David Mamet or David Koepp, like with The Untouchables or something like that, or like Carlito's Way, and just making these like kind of lush, epic Hollywood flicks that are so satisfying in like all the traditional ways, but still have amazing like De Palma touches. So you kind of get and Mission Impossible is another example. Like, just going to get the best of both worlds there. I think I'd go to bat from every time.
I'd love to see him do, to somebody, because Ford Coppola sold his fucking wine vineyard to make Megalopolis or whatever his new movie. Obviously, De Palma mightn't have a wine vineyard to self-fund a fucking $150 million epic, but I'd love for somebody just to be like, here's 60 million, go make your movie, go make another fucking movie. Like,
I think he will. He did. The last film he did got taken away from him, and there was all kind of money issues with Domino.
Yeah,
apparently he got, but apparently like there's glimpses of his old kind of
him there. Like, that's the worst. That's the worst thing about it today. Like talking with Sam Raimi, you're fucking mining for gold with in this system now at the moment.
Yeah,
Netflix giving some money to fucking make something. Like,
I was going to say, just as you were talking there, this podcast would probably be significantly bigger if you two guys were actually the hosts of it. And it was actually legitimate movie fans would actually listen and hear two guys who actually know what they're talking about.
But then there's no dynamic then,
that's it.
It's two lads agreeing with themselves.
That's what
true.
That's what Tony said, where it was like, you need me and Andy. Because if there's two Terrys, I was like, yeah, it's like fucking Paul Thomas Anderson and Tarantino on coke talking about movies.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no one wants to be the Fiona Apple in that
exactly,
scenario.
Yeah, Fiona Apple wants to kill herself, like, you know.
I tell you, I get people messaging me, Terry, privately, telling me, you know what, you're dead right, it was shite.
Yeah, well,
just saying.
Name them, shame them.
Never.
Yeah, they don't exist.
Too scared to come out of the woodwork.
Yeah. Right, well, let's get into our ratings. So, Pete, what would you give it out of 10?
I'm gonna go fucking like, I feel like a wild man. I go like
do it
8.5.
Wow. Okay. Nice. Yeah.
I loved it. Like I was kind of dazzled by it. Like in a way that I didn't expect.
How fucking good it is. Like
I was like, that's a fucking flick now.
Yeah, isn't it? Like it's a fucking movie. Like
I would give it a 7.5. Which
that's good for you.
For me, that's pretty good. Yeah. I enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed it from start to finish. So which is a rarity on this pod. But but I would say, give me your rating, Terry, and then we'll maybe put it in.
I'm going to give it a 9. I'm going to put it up there with Raising Arizona
for you.
And I have a joint with Raising Arizona in the best of the cages that we've done so far. Ahead of Face Off, ahead of The Rock.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills with Raising Arizona. Everyone loves it. I was baffled.
Hated it. You fucking hated
it so much.
Do you know what? I really like it, but it's a bit much. There's bits in it that are a bit much. There are like that's why I know. I feel like I take it like it is blasphemy to say like it's the kind of, but like it's still like it's hilarious and great crack and.
So inventive though, like.
So no, it's like I know it's an incredible film. I've been like devil's advocating it here, but and like Sam McMurray is just one of the great
We're
comedy
swingers, man.
You're swingers.
Well, I would go Face Off. I would put this probably ahead of The Rock. I'd say Face Off, this, The Rock, Raising Arizona.
I was thinking of The Rock actually watching it, because the whole like military, like pissed off military people. I was like, oh, that was obviously a thing in the 90s.
Gary Sinise is given good Ed Harris in this movie.
Yeah,
like Ed. I think Ed Harris in The Rock is one of the best performances in an action movie ever.
It's incredible. I can't not every time I just think about that blooper where he's doing his monologue in The Rock and he's so mad. He blows a line. He drives his boot into a big like steel table in front of him and annoys him. Like,
I didn't see
I haven't seen it either. Like,
like I saw this was like literally a kid watching the bloopers, like, but like it's just Ed Harris, the most intimidating volatile dude.
I just fucking there's like Gary Sinise is giving his
like Ed Harris light.
But not in a bad way.
No,
like, you know what I mean? Like, you know,
still refreshing.
Like, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I was like, because I was saying in Face Off, maybe we should do this for every movie. Who's the Ed Harris of this movie? Because I thought Nick Cage was the Ed Harris of Face Off, and Gary Sinise is the Ed Harris of Snake Eyes.
My problem with The Rock was that I didn't think you needed Nicolas Cage in The Rock to make it good, whereas you needed him in all the other ones.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I if anything, I think Nick Cage was a little bit miscast in The Rock. But
you need somebody.
You
need somebody. But you know, we're trying to say who do you
need the weird character?
Who do you put in there instead?
Like I was saying last week, any of the 10 actors around that time that
give me some, but you're not giving me a name.
But what did we say last week? Christian Slater.
No, not fucking low after Broken Arrow. The fucking low energy from Broken Arrow. Like, hey man,
someone. Who did we say?
He didn't say anybody because you just said any of the 10 that are there. Yeah,
Keanu Reeves, but someone less attractive.
No, you want to see Dick Cage or Connery. You want to see that mad gumbo there.
Yeah, that chemistry.
Good speed.
Well, look, can we get our plugs in here?
Yeah, go on then.
You can find us on Twitter at WSGA Pod. You can find us on Instagram at What's So Great About Pod. Yeah, where you find links to everything we do, including video stuff and Patreon.
Oh, the Patreon. Thank you, Andy. Over on the Patreon, we have our 2 tiers that you can pay for. We got your pay what you want tier. It's literally minimum.
So much. I get so annoyed when someone signs up for €1.
You can literally pay €1. And for that, you get
sleep at night.
You get 4 episodes a month. You get access to all our back catalogs of our What's So Great About MCU, What's So Great About 90s Action, What's So Great About Ryan Gosling, What's So Great About Big Willie's Flops, aka Will Smith's bad movies, and then the ones we put out on a weekly basis. It can be a bunch of top 5s. You got top 5 needle drops, top 5 soundtracks. We did top 5 Premier League footballers there recently. Top 5 Disney songs, a bunch of them, and then there's a bunch of it's a good time. Screenplay pitches to one another. There's loads going on over there, and then so that would make you a hungry heart if you pay €1. If you want to pay €5 a month, you're a big shot, didn't you?
Like the Billy Joel, Bruce Springsteen references there.
I got the Bruce one.
To a lesser extent, so
you get everything. You get everything that I said there for our $5. Plus, you get a bonus monthly Q&A question only for our $5 backers, and you get all of our video content here. So once Pete signs the release, you'll be able to see his lovely mug there. But if you can't afford to pay whatever you want, literally €1,
you can't afford 25 cents a week. Yeah,
you know what you can do for me. You can do me one thing else. You can give me a rating or review. Now, Andy.
Yeah.
In this movie, they went to a hotel room number 3517. I want you to get rid of the 3. I want you to get rid of the 1, get rid of the 7. That leaves a 5, and I want a 5-star review.
Was there a 5 in there?
3517. They got off
435.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So give me a 5-star review. No, nice one, man. No worries. Fucking the amount of effort.
You would have been all good up on that Watchtower, Mike Starr. It's fine.
So Pete, have you anything you want to plug before we go?
Just Peter J. McGann on the socials. Not Peter J. McCann, as I want to be. And check out GUTF with Andy's brother and a few other hilarious people.
Were you writing on it, Pete? I saw
writing and performing in a couple of scenes. It's
I saw the
morning show, but it's funny. It's very funny.
It's really.
I saw the one you did there of the
Royal
correspondent. I couldn't think of the word correspondent. Yeah,
I think of one more sketch now in later episodes, and that's me. I think it's hard to do it so long ago, but that's the thing I have coming out these days.
Brilliant.
And that's just keep an eye on the old socials. I'll be doing bits on that and all the rest of it.
Always good.
And listen, stay tuned for Brian to podcast.
Yeah, I tell you, man,
if you need a guest, I'm right here.
I'm sorry, you're my co-host now. You joking?
That's what I need. More fucking time.
Yeah, no, you're like, no, I did not say that. I said guest.
So listen, Faye. Peter McGann wants me to host a podcast with him. It's like,
what? It's a chance to talk real movies, Faye. You've got to do it.
And what does this pay? Well, nothing at first, like everything, but we'll get
there. Like everything.
Yeah, that was a shit, Faye. 3 hours an episode.
Yeah. That's the danger now. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna record at 2 a.m. It's fine. We'll work around it. Like, okay. Now, Andy, what do you got to say for the folks?
Folks, thanks for listening. I love you.
Oh, and before we go, big thanks to Neil Murray Music for our theme song. I'm going to try and make sure I mention it for every episode.
You do at the start after the
yeah, well, whatever, man. And yeah, we'll see you guys back here next week for Bringing Out the Dead with another special guest. Once again, a big thanks to you, Pete. Thanks for coming on. It's been an absolute blast.
Lovely, good reason to watch a film I hadn't seen in a long time and had kind of having its virtues.
That's why we do it. Fucking yes.
On that note.